I thought I was having a dream, literally, and that I was going to wake up any minute now.
Like, you always think that, it's never going to happen to you, but it can happen to anybody.
And we walked in, and they had revived her for the third time just before we got there. He reviewed what was going on and met with us in a private room and said that he was giving Cody a 5% chance that she would survive.
A case like this was tough because I have a daughter the exact same age as Cody, and very early on, that just triggers some emotion, I suppose, and some concern, and it was certainly genuine.
Well, it was homecoming football. She was a sophomore, and she came home, then made arrangements to meet some of her friends afterwards. We got the phone call from the emergency at the hospital in the early mornings of the hour, and it was the on-call minister telling her that our daughter had an accident and that we needed to get right up to the hospital.
We went through like a T intersection and ran straight into a tree.
And I had to get out of the room, and the staff there thought I was having a heart attack over it. But I just had to get my act together to try to give Cody the strength that she needed. She had a tear in her aorta, and they did not know it. She was dying on the table. The drunk driver that caused the accident had what the minimum at the state of Illinois required for insurance.
Typically in a case like that where you have someone that's seriously injured or in the hospital, we'll just make contact and say, identify ourselves, tell them we're your insurance company, and here's my phone number. If you have any questions, call me, and take care of your daughter. We'll get back to you.
The driver's insurance didn't cover. It had to be divided amongst the 3 kids that were in the car that got hurt, and Cody's share didn't even cover the first 2 hours that she was in emergency room, let alone the air evac that they did from the accident site to the hospital and all that. If it hadn't been for our insurance, we'd probably be sitting in bankruptcy court. I was grateful that they had put us with Pekin Insurance, which up until that time, I didn't know who Pekin was or anything of the kind until they placed us with Pekin. My insurance was everything with Pekin: automobile, home, as well as an umbrella policy. And it was the umbrella policy that ended up covering Cody's accident.
In this particular case, everything really worked out as well as could ever be hoped for. The at-fault driver had very minimal limits, just the state-required liability limits, and Cody, of course, was a passenger in someone else's car. But she was also insured through her father's automobile policy, so after the limits of the at-fault driver's policy were exhausted, then their underinsured motorist coverage came into play. So we were a part of the claim process at that point. And because of the catastrophic nature of her injuries and claim, the underinsured motorist coverage was exhausted, and they had in place a personal umbrella policy that had underinsured motorist coverage on it. So we had, Pekin had 2 layers of coverage.
Well, my estimation of the adjuster was that his salary was based on how little of the company money he'd have to let go of. I was quite surprised at how concerned suggestions he was making, things that he was suggesting that we think about doing and stuff like that. And it all would have, it was just contrary to what my estimation of the adjuster would be and what his job was.
Life and business is all about relationships, and I learned that an awful long time ago. And I would say that from the very beginning, the families that we spoke with and then the representatives for the family, it didn't take real long when we understood the very serious nature of the battles that she was fighting. It didn't take us all long to get on the same page and really just want to do the right thing.
Dr. Rack had us convinced that she would come out of the coma eventually, but she was going to be a quadriplegic, and she would be going to her senior prom in a wheelchair. So when she walked out of the hospital, Dr. Rack was right there watching her, and he was shedding the tears just like the nursing staff was and everybody else, that she had made it that far and that she had turned it around so significantly.
Again, I think because they had the good layers of coverage there, it was nice to be able to conclude the claim with them and feel good about the fact that we had and together we had protected her future.
Well, insurance is a hard thing because it's the intangible that's just there, that's in the background all the time. But you don't buy fire insurance for your house, planning on your house to burn, but yet if it does, you'd be lost without it. I'm very grateful that we had the insurance that we did. I was very grateful for Pekin, the way they worded their coverage and like that, because we found out since that there are companies out there that if we would have had even the umbrella policy, that Cody still wouldn't have been covered under those conditions and all. So I'm very grateful that we were with Pekin and that they dealt with their policies the way they do.